Hey y'all. Week, what is it? Oh my gosh, 14 of more consistent content creation. I'm thinking of renaming this series since it doesn't really carry much essence of what I'm trying to communicate and share, but we'll see. I've got some ideas in mind. This week, I do want to keep it short. My goal is to keep it under 5 minutes if I can. What I wanted to talk about is something we call self-disclosure. What is self-disclosure? Self-disclosure is basically the information that we share about ourselves. It's the extent to which we reveal bits and pieces of our lives to other people, our thoughts, our inner workings. And right off the bat, I will say that self-disclosure does depend on several factors. Number one being the frequency of contact that you have with other people, but also not only that, but the nature of your relationship. Of course, you are not going to reveal the same things to your boss as you would to a colleague, perhaps. Or you may not reveal something really scandalous about yourself or very personal about yourself to, I don't know, your mother-in-law's neighbor versus your mother-in-law or your sister-in-law. Who knows? Depends on the nature of the relationship. And it also depends on how comfortable you feel with the person, how much you trust the person you are sharing information with. Because, of course, when we share information about ourselves, especially the deeper we go, the more intimate details we share, that puts us in a very vulnerable position, right? When we share bits and pieces of ourselves, we want to make sure that we feel safe in sharing this information. We want to feel that there's a sense of respect for the parts of ourselves that we're openly revealing. And so trust plays, I guess, the biggest factor in terms of how often and how much we self-disclose about ourselves to other people. So some people are going to be definitely a lot more private than others. I do know, or I've been told at least, that I'm quite a private person, that it takes some time for me to really talk about myself, especially in a group setting. One-on-one, it is slightly different. I do feel like I can open up a lot more now than I could before. And it's also a sense of, how confident you feel. People who do tend to feel more insecure, of course, will feel less likely to feel safe, and so they're less likely to divulge information about themselves. People who feel more secure do tend to self-disclose more than others, sometimes even a little too much. I'm sure we've all come across those people who kind of just TMI, too much information, at one given time. When you barely know the person, or maybe you do know the person and it's just not the right moment, and it's like, whoa, that was like way too much too soon. So self-disclosure is a part of our communication, our everyday communication in our interpersonal relationships that does play a big role because, at least in my perspective, human relationships are all about sharing. Socializing and sharing our human experience. And so another piece of the self-disclosure transaction that we might share with other people is reciprocity. So we're probably not likely to share our deepest, darkest secrets with someone who only ever talks about really superficial things. I've had relationships with different people where, there was a lot of questioning about what was going on in my life, but on their end, I would hear nothing. And that seems, I've lived it firsthand, and it's quite strange if there's no reciprocity. There's no desire to share if we're not getting that same level, if not a similar level of self-disclosure being shared back with us. So that is my talk on self-disclosure today. I hope it was insightful. It would be interesting for you to reflect on your confidence, your security in self-disclosing. With who do you feel comfortable self-disclosing personal information? With who do you feel less comfortable and less safe? But self-disclosure, it's a huge part of our communication in our interpersonal relationships.